Hey guys, welcome back to the second episode of In the Green Room with Danny Grant. If you listened to the first one, thank you. At least some people did. My first guest today is my second guest for my podcast is a good friend of mine, Corey Topp. Corey Topp is probably most well renowned for his event called Reminisce. It went literally from the backyard to the bowl. We'll get into that in depth later down the track. How are you today, Corey?
I'm very well, thanks, Danny. Thanks for having me.
That's all right, mate. I'll let you explain a little bit more about yourself, like what you're doing, what else you've done apart from Reminisce, because obviously there's a lot more layers than just that one festival.
There is, it's although most people sort of know me for
sure,
for being the Reminisce guy who's consistently flooding their feeds with Reminisce spam. It's definitely a thing, but I guess I've done a lot of things sort of over the last sort of 15 years or so of being in the industry. I guess I'm a little bit different to some where I haven't always just been purely in this industry. I've sort of dabbled in a few other industries. My major background is really in marketing, but I also have done a bit of trade work as well. Started my career when I was fresh-faced 18 as a plumber. So yeah, I've definitely been
Which
around.
I'm sure would have been a popular occupation coming from Frankston.
That's it, mate. Frankston TAFE was the place to be back in those days.
I guess when you first sort of started in the industry, what motivated you? I'm assuming you were 18, maybe 17, sort of probably heading out and whatnot. Why were you going out? Like, what were you listening to? What did the landscape sort of look like back then?
In my teens, I was quite heavily into sort of punk and rock and that sort of stuff.
I think a lot of people were back, especially at our age.
Yeah,
definitely.
It was kind of the golden era back then. And yeah, as I sort of turned 17, everyone's starting to get fake IDs and stuff like that. Starting to go out to the 21st in Frankston was the place to be on a Saturday
Still a good
night.
Club, in my opinion.
Yeah,
even though it doesn't run anymore, what a venue.
Yeah, got some memories in that place. So yeah, that was sort of starting to happen, and I never had a fake ID, so I'd actually never went out until I was actually 18.
Yeah, same actually.
Yeah, so
I did pubs
one of the
and
few.
whatnot, like a little bit, but places that were easy to get in that didn't ask for ID. But never actually went to an establishment. Yeah. Like a club or whatever.
Yeah.
Underage.
The odd one out, though. Back in those days, everyone was going out underage.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What kind of music we listen to? I'm guessing, like, being from Frankston, 21st century, there's no doubt that John Course would have been the soundtrack to many of our nights out.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember, one of the first nights I sort of went out and started getting into house. Yeah, I think John Course was playing at the Bay in Mornington. I think that was a Wednesday or Thursday.
Was that open then?
Thursday night they used to do, yeah.
Oh, wow.
It used to be called Cube.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, it was like Mornington, the Bay, and then going out to a club that they used to be called Level 1, which is above the Grand Hotel. That was a Friday.
Oh yeah.
Then Strike Bowling opened up. Strike was the Thursday, and then 21st on the Saturday. So it was just relentless every weekend. So yeah, started going out after once I finished school or when I turned 18 in August of the year that I finished school, and just started getting right into house.
Yeah, for sure.
You mentioned Corsi.
Yeah, for sure.
I was obsessed with Grant Smiley.
I think
actually.
everyone was, man. Yeah. It's funny because there's a story of myself and Kyle, who you're doing a bit of work with now. We were at his house, we're getting ready to go out, and we were sort of like getting our money together and getting our thoughts together. And his mum was like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "Oh, we're going to Prince to go watch Grant Smiley and John Course." And she's like, "Oh, how much is the entry?" And we're like, "Oh, $20. And she's like, "Why would you waste your money there? Go to the Elephant Wheelbarrow." And we're like, "But Grant Smiley's not fucking playing there, Mum." But I always look back at it's a story that Kyle and myself tell a fair bit because it was funny then, it's still funny now.
Yeah,
but those guys, they were like humongous, and they kind of changed, in my opinion. They changed the music from that kind of pop commercial R&B into like house, like that was and it happened rapidly, and that was sort of the forefathers of it. I know they were doing it a lot before that too, but especially at our age, I feel like there's not a person that wasn't influenced by them or who wasn't heavily, basically obsessed by them.
Yeah, it's a good word actually. I probably was like that with them. One Love used to come down and do shows at the 21st. Who they were playing a lot at Prince, like you said, back in those days, and Prince was like, oh my god, the city, like it was like. We've got Frankston down here, but the city was like this whole other world.
Yeah.
But whenever they used to come down, at the start.
I didn't even know they did that.
Yeah, they did some big shows down there, man.
Because I remember they used to do the Conti towards like maybe 2006, 2007.
Yeah, I actually ran a lot of those summer series down there.
Yeah, through One Love.
Yeah, with Pete and Frank and John. And
at the Conti or?
At the Conti.
Yeah, really, wow, there you go.
Yeah, all those shows down there. So after... Well, pretty much as I started going out to the 21st, I started, promoting and whatever, and was sort of running a lot of nights and stuff down there at the Grand and all that sort of stuff in
Yeah.
Frankston. And that's how I met Sean, my business partner now in Reminisce.
So for everyone that doesn't know who he's talking about, it's Sean Rolt, professional party boy and party liaison. And he's got a long list of accolades too throughout the Melbourne clubbing history, from things like Famous to Bombard to everything in between. And now he's one of the members of Market Memories, which is sort of a very popular act that's rising at a rapid rate. So yes, you met Sean there, which would have been exciting.
Yeah, met Sean back down in Frankston. It's a story we always like to tell. And he sort of he was doing a lot of work in the city, like, you know, running Motel Fridays and all that sort of
Dirt
stuff.
House was called then, I think.
With the boys, so he was doing that, met him, started partying, started running nights together. We actually built a club above Kittens in Frankston in about 2000.
So was he living in Frankston back then?
Sean was from Mount Eliza.
Yeah.
So
I knew that he was from there, but I guess when I sort of started meeting him, which would have been 2008, 2009, he was already in Chapel Street. It was the Q Bar days. Like, he was involved with Dan from Q Bar. Yeah. So that was sort of when I knew him, but I don't remember him actually being based in Frankston.
Yeah. He was he lived down there and then moved up, as we all did.
Yeah.
But so when I met him, and then, you know, started meeting a few guys from, you know, the One Love guys and whatever, started doing the Conti stuff, just started selling heaps of tickets for you know, all the big festivals and all that sort of stuff, and just was obsessed with the scene, like what you said before. You know, I like the word obsessed because that's kind of what it was. It was just life.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, none of us cared about anything except music and just having a good time.
Yeah, and the biggest thing was back then, it's like last time I spoke to Kieran, we were talking about a scene that was maybe 4 or 5 years after this, which is when the Melbourne sort of thing adapted and turned into its own genre and whatever. This is kind of taking it back another 4 years, when it was the beginning of, I guess, mainstream house. I would say, like, when John Corse, Grant Smiley, those guys really blew up, TV Rock, Flaunt, all that sort of stuff. But it wasn't just music, it was like fashion too. So everyone was wearing back then like Stevie and all those bright colour scratch and sniffs and stuff. And it was like you said, it was a full lifestyle. Like, it was similar to kind of very, I would say, girlier version of like punk rock. It had its own fashion. It was everything. It wasn't just one thing. So it was crazy.
It was really like a little subculture.
Yeah, I would say it was a movement.
Yeah, it really was. And, you know, probably advancing forward a little bit in our conversation here, but that's kind of what we tap back into when we do Reminisce, is tapping back into some of the fashion subculture.
I remember, like, what we used to rock, like big belt buckles, the high top shoes and snakeskin headbands and stuff, and just like it was insane. And the haircuts were just horrendous.
And the sunnies.
Yeah, the sunnies in the club.
Shocking, man.
Sunglasses at night. That's sort of coming back again.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Tie-dye singlets.
Oh, dude, we used to make our own tie-dyed pants. Jamie probably remembers it. So Jamie's one of the guys that's helping produce the podcast. But yeah, where I was from, which originally was sort of Vermont, South, Scoresby, one turn away, we didn't have the cash to buy those like expensive gasp tie-dye shirts. So we'd actually make them ourselves. So we'd buy like cheap jeans, and then we'd like tie rocks in them with lacquer bands, and then like dunk them in bleach.
Yeah.
And that was sort of the fashion. And they were flares too, which is even more horrendous. Like, some of the old photos, just disgusting.
I remember the first summer days that I went to. There was about 20 of us all at my mate's place the night before, all just tie-dyeing our singlets. Yeah. So we just racked like just 20, you know, just brought home 20 singlets of Bond singlets from Kmart or whatever.
Yeah.
And just were tie-dyeing them all and then hanging them up out on the line to dry and
it's funny,
headed off to summer days the next day.
We did the exact same thing. So I remember I had like ferns and I was spraying them on my shoes and like adding pinks and purples onto like a white singlet. But it's funny because I guess that not at that point when it was blowing up, the fashion hadn't even caught up yet. So it almost was created as a subculture itself and then all blew up and commercialized. So it's crazy to see, being in the industry for so long, to see that have happened so many times over and over again. And I think to myself, it kind of helps attribute to being able to read it. So sometimes people think, oh, like you're being able to see these cultures roll through, but they're not that different.
No.
That's sort of the same thing happens. It's like a lower level, a fashion starts, the music movement starts. It's normally hated and sort of, it's ostracized a little, and then from there it just blows up and goes commercial, which obviously it did. It got bigger and bigger. And One Love was definitely like the home of it. Like, there was no denying it. Like, I think that they were the biggest driving force for the whole scene, and they were kind of like the it spot. So to be involved with that would have been pretty amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It was, like you said, those guys were sort of really innovative in the scene. And obviously Prince was an institution
for sure.
Quite a few years. And yeah, just that whole subculture and that whole movement. And it was just all about having a good time.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So I guess from there, it's like you were kind of running events, running clubs, you were DJing yourself. Then you sort of pulled back out of it, like where others progressed, like guys like Sean and whatnot, kind of continue to stay in it. What did you do and why did you do that?
Yeah, I didn't ever, like really fall out of love with the music, I guess. It was more just the lifestyle. I kind of got over it and I started to really want to travel and, do other things, see the world, etc. So, like I said, I'd started an apprenticeship plumbing. I finished that. And then once I finished, what was I, 21, 22, something like that. You're earning really good money.
Yeah, for sure.
As a qualified plumber.
Yeah.
Working commercial back then, I was bringing home a lot of cash, and for a young bloke, it was, I was enjoying the money and just enjoying the regular sort of wage, working a lot, saving a lot, and then just, pissing off to Europe or
I'm guessing there would be the point where doing something like that and then doing what you're doing on the weekend would have took a major toll. You sort of came to a crossroad that you had to decide, or?
Major toll. Yeah, I remember there was times where, we'd be, because my best friend Mark and also my business partner in Reminisce, so me and him used to DJ together. And yeah.
What was your DJ name?
It was Vinyl Conspiracy.
Oh, yeah, it's scary.
Yeah, it's a ripper, isn't it? Everyone used to say, "What's the conspiracy?" And we'd say, "We don't play vinyl."
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a shocker.
There was plenty of them though.
Yeah. We used to have a gig up at Q Bar on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And, I'd have to be up at 5 the next day or whatever for work. Yeah. And we'd play, we'd leave straight away, and as you very well know, that's not what you do.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're trying to make it as a DJ, you don't just play and leave.
Sad we didn't see Vinyl Conspiracy get to its peak.
That's it, mate. I think our peak was a big gig at the Conti one night.
Yeah, what a place though.
Yeah.
And then from there, you've obviously come back. Like at some point, you've kind of gone back to what I would call like a normie life. Making a normal income, doing sort of what people deem as normal, and then you sort of swang back into our industry. Like, what's the path you took, and was it slow and was it fast? Like, how did you sort of go from plumbing back into the music industry?
Yeah, well, I kind of only fell into plumbing because, like I said before, when I was sort of 18, I didn't really care about anything except going out partying, having a good time.
Yeah. Pretty
much from day one, I was promoting running nights, so it was good fun, making a bit of extra cash, but you're just spending it all.
Yeah, of course.
But you kind of still needed that full-time job on the side. So, yeah, I mean, I was never really meant to be a tradesman, that's for sure. Always had marketing, in my blood. So I guess I kind of realised that.
Yeah.
I didn't like being a tradesman. I was probably no good at it, and just was not my thing.
Living sort of in the outer suburbs, even for myself, it's sort of once school finished, that's what everyone just thought they had to do. There's like a pressure to that. Wherever you maybe lived in the inner suburbs or you did something else, it wouldn't have happened. I felt like I'd stayed away from it because I knew I hated it because I tried it for a little bit. But I think there's a pressure just to kind of fall into those roles, especially when you live in those outer suburbs.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just pressure to actually, have a job, get a career, whatever it is, whether it's uni or a trade or whatever. I actually got into uni.
Yeah.
On the orientation day, I just was like,
wasn't for me.
Fuck this.
Yeah.
I'm not going there.
Yeah.
I don't want to do like I always did reasonably well at school, but I just couldn't stay. I couldn't concentrate.
Yeah.
I could never study.
I could blame Revolver. So I got into uni too. It was a swimmer in Hawthorn.
Yeah.
And then I did well for about 6 months, and then Revies sort of took over. And then, I couldn't concentrate for obvious reasons. Sort of stretching out the weekend probably a little bit too long. But, I remember the same thing. It was just like, I didn't know what to go from there. And then I sort of, for me, I'm one of the lucky ones who did exactly what you did and then fell into this, because everyone does fall into it a lot of the time. And made a job out of it. So I was saying to my friends, I'm like, I have some regrets. Like, I wish I'd traveled more or taken more liberties with my freedom that I had back then. But instead, I partied all the time. But at the same time, I've been doing this for 13 years, and it's been an amazing job. So it's impossible to say that was the wrong thing to do, if that makes sense. But I'm sure I'm one out of probably 10,000 that kind of walked into that.
Yeah, that's right. And, whatever you've done in your life has always got you to this point.
Yeah, it's true, yeah.
I couldn't be happier where I am now.
Yeah, for sure.
I do quite a lot of self-reflection and whatnot.
Yep.
And, during those times, I look back and you can actually piece out your life as like a storyline.
Yeah.
And look at all the certain things that have happened that you've done that have got you to this point. Like
Yeah.
I love that I did a plumbing apprenticeship.
Yep.
Because it gave me an amazing work ethic.
Yep.
It made me a morning person. Like
Yep.
I'm up working now at like 6 a.m. every day.
I still haven't covered that.
And, you know, I could probably not anymore because I've forgotten everything because I haven't done it for a long time. But, you know, there was one stage where I could, you know, build a house basically.
Yeah.
Like when you're a tradesman, you learn, you know, carpentry, you learn, you know, a bit of everything.
Yeah.
So, you know, when it comes to like renovating and stuff like that, at least you know what's going on. So all those types of little things of things that you've done that maybe weren't right for you, and you realise that, still build the person that you are today.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And one of the things why, obviously I knew that already, but one of the reasons why I wanted to bring that up is that people do, like young kids especially, like they'll fall into something like plumbing, like whatever, like it could be an office job or whatnot, and they're like, okay, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And I'm really big on, you don't have to, like you're not stuck in something. You can change. And like, I would encourage my friends that a lot. I'm like, I hate my job. Well, then move. Like it's not jail. Yeah, like you haven't been sentenced 25 to life, like just because you did 4 years as an apprenticeship. And that's why I really wanted to highlight that part of your, I guess, story arc, because I want people that are listening that maybe are younger to be like, okay, cool. Well, this isn't for me. Like, where can I go from here? And I guess the second part of that is that you went into marketing. So explain that. So you've gone from plumbing to like playing with pipes and whatever plumbers do. I don't even really know.
Pretty much it.
Yeah. And then worked into marketing. Like they couldn't be vastly more different. So how did you learn that? Like, did you go back to school? Like, what's the story there?
I didn't go back to school. I went to the Mark Meadow School of Marketing, who's my friend I was talking about before and now business partner in Reminisce.
So his background was marketing?
Yeah. So he was in... Actually, no, he did HR at uni, I think, but he always had a marketing brain. And I've always had a marketing brain. So when we were 18, you know, like I said, running clubs from when we were 18. So we knew how to get people to, you know, go to events. We knew how to get people to go to the same place every single weekend you do.
And recreate,
And say that, you know, say it in a different way.
Yeah.
And tell them to go to the same place and do the same things and meet the same people.
And make it different.
But spin it in a different way.
Yeah, for sure.
And again, that's marketing. That's what it is.
101.
So once you've sort of got that, you know, you got the knack for it, I guess. The digital side of it, I picked it up reasonably quick and kind of fell in love with that, I guess. So when I stopped plumbing and just gave it up,
what was the thought process like? Well, the thought process, obviously you've done your career, you might have felt trapped, like you decided you didn't like it. At what point were you like, what were you thinking when you're like, all right, I'm done with this? Like, well, I'm going to quit this.
When I came back from a big trip in Europe, I did a big 4-month Euro trip, and I met heaps of people over there, you know, that were guys on Sail Croatia, for example, and they were like, oh yeah, I'm just working at a ski resort in Aspen or in Switzerland or wherever. I met one guy who, he borrowed some money off his dad and started like a boat company thing, and just all these people who kind of were a bit, you know, carefree, and just going on a whim. And I sort of got back and was like, fuck this.
Yeah, I don't want to play it safe anymore.
Nah. Yeah, I'm done. So Middo was doing, you know, quite a lot in that sort of space. He was looking to get out of what he was doing in HR. He had a full-time job, and we both just decided to start a digital agency.
Yeah, crazy.
So we went from, you know, our full-time jobs to just working in his rumpus room in his parents' house, just running our own digital agency.
Yeah, crazy. Was it hard at the start? Were you like pushing? Did it feel like you were pushing shit uphill? Or? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Doing everything wrong. At the start, we were just building websites. Then we started doing marketing. You know, all these sort of bits and pieces. And he had a very strong background in this. So it wasn't like we were just going in there with no idea what we were doing. I was kind of learning on the fly though, and he more sort of had the background. And we just figured it out as we went along. You know, we got some good results, etc. But then after probably 3 years, and this is when I really wasn't running any events or DJing or anything. I wasn't really in the scene at all. Yeah. We decided that Social Empire, that's what our agency was called, was going nowhere.
Are you making money or not?
We were keeping afloat.
Yeah.
We weren't losing money, but we weren't making money.
Yeah.
And we kind of got back from a Christmas break one year, and I remember literally it was the first day that we had got back, and we were sitting there, we were at his place, just working at his place for the day, and I could just feel the energy And I knew that he was thinking what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And I just said to him, I said, mate, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, this isn't going nowhere. I cannot imagine doing another whole year of this. It's just not working. And he said, mate, I totally agree.
Yeah.
So then we started talking about getting jobs, and he's got a uni degree. He's got everything, right?
Yeah.
So I knew he would just walk back into a job, but I'm sitting there going, I don't really have any qualifications. You know, I've done this for 3 years, and I know what I'm doing, but who's going to hire me?
Yeah.
You know, so that was a bit of a tough period, but and again, like what I said before about, it's actually really interesting. What I said before about everything that you've done leads you to this point. So about a year before that, or probably only 6 months, we'd gone to the World Cup in Brazil, the Soccer World Cup, and I just randomly started.
The business?
Yeah, that's why we weren't making any money.
Yeah.
I just randomly started a Facebook page called Road to Brazil. And I just started putting up pictures of like Brazilian girls, beaches and soccer, and saying like, how good's the World Cup going to be? And we got like 3,000, 4,000 fans in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that was when Facebook still had massive organic reach.
Yeah. The good old days.
Yeah. And we netted all these fans, and then we built a website and started writing blogs, and we became this kind of authority in the whole World Cup sort of Brazil sort of Aussie scene, right? So people were writing into us going, oh, what should we do with our visa? And like asking us all these questions. We had no idea.
Yeah.
And so we were just like pumping out this content. And then we actually, I'd written an article and half of it was wrong. And this guy who lived in one of the match cities in Brazil emailed us and said, guys, half of this, you're saying that there's all nice beaches in Porto Alegre, and like it's disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, it's all slime and stuff there. And so anyway, one thing led to another. We started talking, and I said, mate, we've got this massive community of Aussies. Like, do you have any connections in Porto Alegre for any venues? Because we'd love to run an event there.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, man, like my sister's friend, he owns this club. And so one thing led to another, and this was just as Eventbrite was starting out too. So
Eventbrite in Australia or Eventbrite in America?
Well, we could use it from Australia.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And so we just set up an event.
So I actually wasn't aware that Eventbrite was an American company.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went to some like open day thing. They had speakers and stuff. It was good.
Okay.
And they said they were from America. I was like, what? I had no idea.
Yeah. They're Silicon Valley
There
sweethearts. Yeah, so we set up the event, and we just worked out a deal with the venue, and they were going to charge us $15 a head for open bar all night, beer and spirits.
That's mad.
We charged $50 a head,
Yeah,
and everyone paid it. We sold this thing out.
No shit, really?
Yeah,
I did
in
not
like
know
2
this.
days. So that basically paid for our almost our whole trip.
That's
we
awesome.
made like 35 grand.
Yeah.
From this night. And
how are you getting the money back to you, or did you kind of get there and get the cash?
We set it up on Eventbrite, so the money came to us straight away. So
Yeah.
we had the cash, and then we went there, and we had to just pay the venue like on FPOS, for like 15 grand.
Yeah.
And they couldn't speak English, and it was really funny. But yeah, the whole night went awesome. It was one of the best days of my life. It was the day that we played Netherlands.
Yeah.
So Timmy Cahill scored that volley goal.
Yeah.
We were there. Then we went and had the party. We ran the event. It was awesome. Everyone
Was that
loved it.
daunting?
Yeah.
Obviously overseas. Was there points where you were like, this is not going to happen?
Yeah.
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 Because that could have gone really wrong.
Yeah, definitely could have. But
so is that sort of your introduction back into events, like that one-off?
Well, sort of, but not really. Like, I guess for me, the reason why I was telling that story is because that is what actually got me my job that I was talking about that I was scared to go for. So I had that actually on my LinkedIn profile and put it on my resume.
Mm-hmm.
I'd put that Road to Brazil story on there.
Yeah.
And then CrownBet were just starting up,
Yeah.
a betting company. So they were Bet Easy at that time. But just as they were going through that process, they were actually being brought out by Crown and becoming CrownBet. Had huge backing, huge money behind them, and they had no social team, and they were looking for someone to start the social media team.
Whatnot, yeah.
But the hiring manager, Tim, who literally changed my life,
Yeah.
he was looking for someone who was entrepreneurial and a bit sort of left of center.
Yep.
So, I beat out like 10 people who had
cool.
marketing degrees
Because
for
of
that
Road to
role,
Brazil.
because I just got up there and just told the story about Road to Brazil
Yeah.
and talked about, my background and all that sort of stuff. And then once I got that job, like that kind of gave me the cred.
It's
Not
funny.
that I needed, because like I am where I am now, where I'm back out of the scene doing my own thing, running events.
Yeah.
But it was just such a really good thing for me, because I went from being a sort of rogue marketer who, you know, knew bits and pieces and, you know, knew his way around social,
It's all polished
to understanding how, you know, corporate,
Yeah.
you know, teams and everything work, you know, reporting, deadlines, delivering
What are
things
they
on
again?
time. Yeah. All that sort of stuff. So it was huge.
I guess that's like a kind of highlights of another fact that basically these kids, again, when they're coming up, they think, oh, well, if I don't have the qualifications, I can never go into something. And a lot of the time you hear stories about people with a similar case where they've done something left of field and they've fallen into something that's probably above and beyond what they could have done in university. And I think that the ideology of like people being afraid that if you don't go to university, if you don't do a trade, that you're never going to work somewhere is complete bullshit. And it's something that we're educated from such a young level. And in my position, and you too, like we're sort of having those sort of backgrounds of chopping and changing and doing different things. It's like, it's almost unfair, I believe. Hearing those sort of stories, I guess, is great because it gets to motivate people to think that, A, I'm not in a trap. B, if I do get out, I'm not underqualified. And C, the things that I have done that may be deemed small to me, that it could be deemed to a bigger company like CrownBet to take you on and sort of take that career, and you can go anywhere. So
exactly.
Life's a journey. You can't predict the end.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think don't try to, because I think it'll limit you in the long run.
Absolutely. And the experiences that you get, every single experience that you go through, whether it's, you know, positive, negative, neutral, whatever it is, it builds your character, builds your story.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think the story is the main thing. Like,
Yep.
I had a cool sort of story,
Yep.
and they bought into that. And that's what people buy into is your story.
Yep.
There's a really good book called The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday.
Yep.
And, you know, he talks about stoicism and all this sort of stuff, that the obstacle is the way to go in life, because it just builds your character, it builds your experience, it builds your references.
Falling down is like a good thing.
Yeah, and it really is. It's
anyone that runs their own business or is taking their own path, is not doing sort of like the normal 9 to 5.
Yeah,
they all fall down. Like, that's the biggest thing, is like, I have millions of times. Like, and the biggest lessons I've learned are from failures or mistakes and whatnot. And you're just going to try and not make them again. But winding back about your story, I guess with Reminisce, that's a massive story in itself. Like, how did that start? So I know that obviously there's the tagline that kind of comes with you when people talk about Corey Topp and Reminisce and all the other boys, is that backyard to the bowl. Can you run us through that? Like, what is the backyard to the bowl? So how did I guess, start from the start, and just say, what is the backyard component of it? Like, why was it the backyard, and how did you develop it, and where did the idea originally come from?
Yeah, so it honestly came from one day. Like, I can remember the exact moment. I was like driving along in the car, and I can't even remember why I was in a state, but I was having a shit couple of weeks or a shit couple of months. I can't even remember. Just not really sort of happy, and Music Sounds Better came on.
Tune.
Yeah,
Stardust.
Absolute tune. The radio, and it just instantly just changed my mood.
Yeah.
And I just started thinking about, man, like, music it's such a trigger for, you know, emotion, and it can literally, you can be walking down the street and hear a song, and it will literally transport you back to an exact memory at an exact moment in time when you were, you know, having a kick on at a mate's place, or you're at a festival, or you
all the way around, a funeral or a wedding or
anything. Yeah, anything like that. Yeah, you're right.
There's certain songs that people can't listen to that makes you cry.
Yeah, 100%. Maybe it was your wedding song or something like that. I know that one all too well. But and then I was kind of like, there's something in that, you know what I mean? Just how powerful it is. So I think I was actually DJing at a wedding or something, like just for a favor for a friend. And I think I was talking to a friend, and one thing led to another. And I said, man, how good would it be if we could, you know, recreate sort of the good old days back in the early 2000s, and, you know, where everyone votes and we do a sort of countdown sort of thing. And he said, well, why don't we do it at Bila? And that was kind of like the token party house at the time. In Coringa.
Yeah, I think every crew has one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ours was called the CD. I'm not going to tell you what the abbreviation stands for, but
I think I can guess. There was, you know, I remember times back at this place, Bila in Coringa in Frankston. There'd be like 60 of us just in the backyard, just laying on the grass, just on a Sunday, you know, having a good time or whatever. So it was a token party house. He said, why don't we do it at Bila? So yeah, one thing led to another. I had a chat to Middo, and said, let's do it.
So at what stage was this? Like obviously the plumbing, marketing, digital agency.
Yeah, this is in the middle of digital agency.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was, doing marketing mostly full time. And then, we just decided to do it. I set up an email, it was called the BLR Top 50.
Yeah.
And I set up an email, told everyone to send in, because we only had about 30 or 40 of us coming.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I only remembered this when I was talking to Courtney, who lived at the house. She was massively involved, just a friend of mine.
Okay.
She was like massively involved in running the event and stuff because it was at her house and everything. And she sent me all the papers and everything like that. So I've still got the original voting that we did. Yeah. And we actually did a top 20 because we wouldn't have enough songs to make up a top 50 if everyone only voted for 10.
Yeah.
So we got everyone to send in a top 20. They emailed them to me, and then I printed all the songs out in a short list and then tallied them manually with a pen and paper to tally the top 50. And then we played the top 50 in a countdown at the house in a backyard.
Wow.
And it was amazing. It was such a good night.
Would have been.
It pissed down rain all day and all night. And so we ended up having the little canopy that we had the DJ equipment set up in, pushed right up towards the front of the house, and we're all huddled in this little tent, and it was just pissing down rain, and we had all the lights and the smoke machines, and we're having a really good time, and we just had the time of our life, and then got to song number 1, was just about to drop, and then the cops rocked up.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah. And we managed to talk them around. And
what was it? What was number 1?
I think it was Roke Scott. What else is there?
Tune 2.
Yeah, absolute tune. So that always comes really high in Reminisce. So so we did that, and then I think I went off on another Euro trip, and then came back and everyone was like, "You got to do something with that, man." That was so much fucking fun.
But did they mean in the backyard, or did they mean take it somewhere else?
Nah, everyone was saying you should run that event somewhere, because obviously we'd run events in the past, so everyone just kept saying you've got to do it, and then we took the idea to Sean. Yeah. So
what was Sean doing at that time?
I can't remember exactly what he was doing. I can't keep up, especially back in those days. He was running different nights, every single week. But
because how many years ago are we talking? This
was 2012.
Okay.
Yep, 2011. Sorry.
Yep.
The first Reminisce was in 2012.
Okay, cool.
So then, that summer, so 2011-12 summer, we took the idea to Sean and said, let's do this at a venue. He was in, and so. Then I think we spoke to John Curtin from One Love just for some advice. Yeah. I think we originally wanted to do it at Billboard.
Yeah, okay.
And he said, do it at Prince.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And I said, fucking oath, we should do it at Prince. And so then we went to Prince and spoke to them and pitched it to them. And they were kind of like, because we wanted to do it on St Kilda Fest weekend. Yeah. And they were like, I don't know, it's an untried concept.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously it's a big date, the St Kilda Fest weekend.
I
weren't too sure about it.
I remember seeing it when it first came out and thinking wicked idea, that won't work. Yeah. And so that was but obviously I was wrong. But yeah.
Well, most people said that.
Yeah.
But I guess we just kind of had that. We knew how much pull it had at the little party we did with our friends, 50 people, and just how much everyone was into it. Yeah. So we pitched it to Prince. They said no. Then we went and pitched it to Corsi. Yep. So Sean
he's a Frankston boy too, isn't he?
Of course he's a Frankston boy.
A long line of Frankston involved in this Reminisce.
Yep. Mate, that's what it is. That's where all the good ideas are born from. And we pitched it to Corsi, and he said, yep, I'm in. If Prince is in, I'm in.
Yeah, I think he was a pivotal part of it too.
Massively. Yeah. Massively. And then we went back to Prince and said,
Corsi's in.
We've got Corsi on board.
Yeah.
And then they're in. So at least I think that's how it went. Maybe I think we actually fudged it and told Prince that Corsi was in, but we hadn't spoken to him yet. Anyway, we managed to get it done. And so we booked in the date, worked our asses off, got everyone to vote. And that was kind of the big thing. We had to get everyone to vote. So previously I'd set up an email.
What did it look like then?
Yeah. So it was, and this was where Middo was worth his weight in gold because he facilitated the whole tech side of it. Okay. Which we wouldn't have been able to do. Yeah. I may have had some idea, but I probably wouldn't have been able to execute it.
Yeah, for sure.
And so it
was a game changer in the sense that no one had done anything like that. No one had done anything that incorporated tech into an event that was ran by tech that involved music, like it hadn't happened.
Yeah.
It's almost like a hybrid.
Yeah.
And normally it would happen beforehand. It would have been a concept, but it would have just been Corsi playing his best 50. So it was like very ahead of its time in the sense that you guys kind of put the two together with old and new.
Yep.
And and I keep discussing the software because obviously that's the biggest component of it.
Yeah, so it was a WordPress plugin, which is a content management system, one of the most popular content management system in the world for websites. I think 60% of websites in the world are something built on WordPress.
Crazy.
So it was just a WordPress plugin, a Mido at that time, and still is, right into offshore outsourcing and stuff like that. So it literally cost us $150, the first voting system.
Crazy.
Yeah, it did the job. It looked shithouse, plenty of problems, but it worked. It was functional. It just looked crap. So it was all we needed. I think Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, says if you're not completely embarrassed by your first version of your product, you launch too late.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
that's good advice.
Yeah, which is totally relevant to us.
And did that first one sell out?
No. So as you do, we said that it did.
Of course.
But it didn't. It pretty, like on the night, it pretty much did.
Yeah,
we were at capacity.
Yeah.
But we weren't officially sold out.
Yeah.
So I think we only did.
So
about
it wasn't on St Kilda Fest, so that one was it?
It was the Friday.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I'm pretty sure I did that, or if not, it was like a year after. We did with a guy called Mike Toner, TNC. It was called Colombo.
Yeah.
And it was either it could have been a couple of years after that, but yeah, I know you didn't have that date then yet. Because we weren't competing with Reminisce at that point.
That's right. So we were Fridays all up until only a few years ago.
Yeah.
So it was always the Friday of St Kilda Fest weekend, and that sort of became our date.
Yeah.
But yeah, the
Why
first
that
show. Honestly, I can't remember.
Yeah, just the way it fell.
I'm not sure. I don't know why we sort of eyed that one off, but it just that's what we ended up.
Because I reckon I'd stay away from that.
Yeah. Well, again, that was another thing that we were deciding on at the time. We weren't sort of sure, but it just kind of worked. But it only all came together in the last couple of weeks. I think it was Mosh Sticks at the time. We'd sold 150 tickets on Mosh Sticks. So leading up to it, as I generally do, I'm the one who's always freaking out. And I'm the type A personality in the team. So I'm sort of running around making sure
what can I do to sell more
being
tickets?
real anal, being a perfectionist and all that sort of stuff. So I was kind of like, we're up shit creek here. Like we've sold 150 tickets. The other guys were like, it'll be okay, and it was.
Yeah.
I think we did heaps of walk-ups. We did heaps of hard tickets, and it was just a rocking night, and just the feedback that we got from people.
The SoundCloud link, I used to flog it.
Yeah.
And of course, he got drunker and drunker as the night went on.
Yeah, he did. He
so it was very live.
Very live, and everyone just had a ball. And so, from there, we just had massive feedback. You got to do it again. You got to do it again. You got to do it again.
I think too, I know you said before you didn't sell out, but I feel like a lot of people I knew that went to the second, third, fourth year, they wanted to see proof of product first. So I think everyone was like, concept's great. Is it going to work? That SoundCloud came out and everyone loved it. And then everyone wanted to be involved after it worked.
Yeah, well, second year we sold out in 9 days.
Yeah, there you go. And that's the thing is like a lot of everything, like anything I've ever been involved in, Code, which I'm doing at the moment in the city, again, Burke Street Courtyard, Empire, the list goes on of things that I've started that have taken weeks for the first people to try it, to go back to their friends and say it's good, then it blows up.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, this is the same product 4 weeks ago when you didn't want to try it, but now it's massive.
Yeah.
And I feel like Reminisce was massively like that. Like everyone was like, let's see how it goes and let's see what it looks like first. And then once it caught on and it made sense, then it kind of blew up from there.
Yeah, it really did. It just took off, and like I said, we kind of created our own little subculture that was tapping into the previous subculture from the early 2000s.
What was the age demographic of the first one? Or
it was older, and it's got slightly younger as the years have gone on, but it's kind of like this rolling sort of scale now. If you think about it, like the songs that are in the countdowns now in 2019 versus 2012. Yeah. There's songs in the countdown now that weren't even released back then. Yeah. That now are being counted as classics. Yeah. Like your Eric Prydz Every Day or Swedish House, Don't You Worry Child. Yeah. These sorts of songs.
Levels was another one. I remember that was in the
last so that made it in for the first time this year.
And I was like, classic.
It takes sort of, you're 5 to 7 years.
So the concept
and then they start coming into the countdown.
When you first started it, did you think that it would evolve like that, or did you think it would always stay in that genre or that time period that was the backyard party originally?
Yeah, we were massively, and again, it was probably more me, massively anal about not wanting it to change because we were so worried about, commercial songs coming in or, any, like when sort of Avicii started to get to a point where it was like, oh, could this potentially make it into the countdown?
Yeah.
Like we'd see people adding it, but it would never actually make the top 50.
Yeah.
And we were really worried about sort of going from that.
Changing it.
But then we kind of just sort of sat down and thought, well, whatever the people vote for is what they want.
Yeah.
And that's what Reminisce is all about.
Yeah, for sure.
So we can't try to push it in a certain direction.
Moderate
we just
it or anything
need to
like that.
let it go where the people take it.
Yeah.
And because that's been our whole thing, is like our event is about the people. They vote for the songs.
More
we
so than
always
probably any
poll
event.
them at the end of, every event. We do a survey. We ask people what DJs they want, where they want it to be played, which venue.
Yeah.
That's why we ended up at the Bowl.
Yeah, for sure.
So we went from Prince
Before
to
you go into
Circa
that,
to the Bowl.
I want to go from how many years were you still at Prince before you took it to Circa to that next level, and then from there to the, I guess, Riva, and then to the next level. So like, what was that progression? What did it look like? What were the decisions made in between that got you there?
Yeah, so we got to a point where we always knew that we needed to scale it, but I guess I feel like for a couple of years we probably got maybe a bit lazy.
Yeah.
Where we were happy just doing our thing, having our regular sort of jobs, etc. for the rest of the year, and Reminisce would come around once a year, and we did bits and pieces like R&B gigs and stuff that. But the main gig was the Classic House one. And then it got to 2016. We wanted to move it to Riva because we basically asked everyone, if Reminisce is going to scale, do you want it to be like a warehousey feel, or do you want it like nighttime, or do you want it to be a day event, festival type feel? Everyone said festival. Everyone said do it at Riva.
Yeah.
So then we decided to do it at Riva.
So you've done 1,000 people. Obviously, it's sold out in 9 days. You say.
Yeah.
So you're like, all right, cool. We need to do 4,000 people. We backed this in. This is 100% going to work, or was there a longer thought process saying, okay, we've got data for 4 years. Let's have a crack at this because we have actually done 4,000 people, or did you just back it in and just have a crack at it?
Yeah, it was probably the latter. Like there was a lot of doubts. There was a lot of can we go from Prince to Riva?
Yeah.
Is that going to work? Yeah, 4,000 people. Obviously, you're looking at your break even and you're going, look, we probably don't expect to do 4 the first year, but if we do 2.5, it'll be an awesome party. We'll break even and then we'll be away. So that was kind of the risk that you take. You weigh it up, you look at the options and you back yourself in and you have a go. So we had the venue, we had Riva locked in. And then last minute, we sort of got an offer from Kyle, who you were mentioning before, saying, we've got Fatboy Slim for this date. We want to do a beach party, like, the famous DVD that he's got, the Big Beach Party or whatever, Big Beach Boutique. We can only do them on this date. You guys have got Riva, let's do it. And then
it's a perfect marriage in a sense, isn't it?
Yeah, and cut a long story short, we just decided to do it. We thought it'd be a rockin' party. It'd be great to be involved, running an event with Fatboy, etc. So we decided to do that. So we moved Reminisce back to Prince, did it at Prince again, 2016, and then came around to the next year where we wanted to move it, to start scaling it, to move it to that daytime festival event. And then, had chats.
I reckon this is around the time that I sort of started to know you.
Yeah.
Because I remember having conversations in the early days where you had said, like, you were happy for it to be at Prince, and then all of a sudden your mindset changed and you're like, oh, I'm going to scale this. Like, oh, I want this to get bigger. I want to take this to the next level. And that was around that time when you did the thing with Fatboy Slim. And then, it kind of continued from there.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like looking back on it now, and again, like what we were saying before about everyone looks at people who've, had success or done things that they want to do, and they think that they've just had this trajectory that's just linear, and they've just scaled their business and they've just had all this success and it's just all great. And that's definitely not the way it works.
Yeah, 100%.
And so looking back on it, we had so many ups and downs where we're thinking, fuck, where can we go? Where can we take this? What venue? It's not going to work. Can we do this? Can we scale it? Maybe we should just stay at Prince. Should we just become a club brand and just move around and do different states and countries and all that sort of stuff? So there was all these options going through, but we decided to have a crack at Circa, St Kilda Fest Sunday. So we moved it from night to day. And yeah, I reckon that 2017 Circa Reminisce was almost the best one that we've done. It was amazing. And we went from having just Corsi to got TV Rock and Kaz James.
Yeah.
So they were awesome. They were awesome to have on the bill.
I've got a funny story about TV Rock.
Awesome set. Yeah.
Yeah, so when that song Fauna came out, they had a gig where they were going to record it at the Espy. So I bought tickets and whatnot. So all my mates went down there and were dressed up in our finest pink T-shirts and snakeskin headbands and whatnot. And we're out the front and we're just absolutely rocking it for the cameras as hard as possible, just absolute frothers. And then the video clip came out like 3 months later and it had no footage of the whole night that they were promoting it around.
Oh, really?
So I was kind of shattered, but at the time I was just a young frother. But I'm kind of happy that it didn't, because then people would be able to get that back out to tease me. So
that's
it was sort of a win-win situation, really.
I remember that gig. I was there.
At the Espy?
Yeah, they were having...
it was almost like an awkward venue for it.
I think Ivan was playing vinyl and I think because everyone was jumping and it was going so crazy, like the decks kept slipping.
Yeah. That was definitely the night.
Yeah. It was one of those real Melbourne sort of nights where it was just sweaty. There was tech issues. Yeah. Everyone was just having a good time.
That's probably why they didn't use it for the film clip.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Fatboy Slim one, obviously, I think any promoter would love to have him on their list of accolades of people they've worked with. What was that gig like? Was there a lot of drama? Was it easy?
It was good. It was a good partnership. Kyle and the guys, they did all the logistical stuff, ran the event, etc. We ran most of the marketing, and to be honest, it was probably the easiest gig I've ever done in my life. Wow. Fatboy Slim at Riva. You don't have to do any promoting.
Sometimes you fall into them.
You don't have to do any promoting for that.
Yeah,
it sold itself.
Yeah.
We had a quick turnaround time. We had bugger all time to sell it, and it sold out really quickly. And it was an awesome gig, and it ended up being the best thing that we ever did, because I don't know if we may have, if we did it at Riva, we may have stayed there or whatever. But now we're at the Bowl. Obviously, it's a lot bigger venue. And we pulled that off. So
even that gig again, like we'll talk about dates before, was St Kilda Fest in the Friday. I remember again Kyle talking about the Fatboy Slim gig, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm doing an Australia Day," and I think maybe he wanted me involved. I don't remember, maybe not, but I remember thinking it's Rainbow Weekend, it's Australia Day, everyone's going to work the next day. That's not going to work again, and then it happened. So I think you've defied a lot of logic for normal promotion sort of stuff, because the event brand is so strong and the concept is that there's been so many things that haven't necessarily made sense, but have worked every single time. And then that's the next part of the story, is when you jump to the Bowl. So you've gone from Riva, Fatboy Slim, which isn't almost not a learning curve, like you said before. It is Fatboy Slim on a beach. Like it's almost like the perfect gig.
Yeah.
Then from Circa, which holds 1,000 people, or maybe...
Yeah, we squeezed a few in there.
Yeah, you can probably do more. Let's just say 1,000 for capacity reasons.
Yeah.
And then you decided, okay, cool, let's hit the Sidney Myer Music Bowl, which is like, for anyone that doesn't know, which I highly doubt, it's like the number one location for music for the last 40, 50 years. Like every big act's played there. And Summer Days, which is one of the biggest components of the house music in the last, I think it ran for 25 years before it stopped. Future Music's been there. The list goes on of what it is. It's like, it's the heart of Melbourne, really. So what made you decide to go, all right, well, let's go from 1,000 packs venue to the fucking Bowl? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's insane. Like, that's the reality of it.
Yeah. We really didn't have any other options.
Okay.
Because if you think about it...
Surely there's another option from jumping from 1,000 to 8,000.
But Melbourne's one of those cities where, like, you either have a club and I know that recently... this has been proven incorrect, because the Untitled guys has been starting to do stuff in Burnley Park and Yarra Park, and
I think the cancers are opening up to that.
But we didn't think of that.
Yeah.
So we were kind of like, okay, so we're not doing Riva.
What's next?
We're outgrowing Circa. There was Greenfields possibly.
Yeah.
But the main reason why was because it was kind of like, well, actually there was two reasons. Firstly, we surveyed everyone, and everyone said,
the Bowl.
You have to do it at the Bowl.
Yeah,
do it at the Bowl. Do it at the Bowl.
Iconic. Like the days we talked about earlier, like
yeah.
when we were first going out and painting our shoes and shirts and whatnot.
Yeah.
That's where it was.
Exactly.
That's where you want to hear that sort of stuff.
Exactly. And then, and the other reason was because, like you said, it was so iconic, and Prince was an iconic venue,
Yeah, for sure.
So then that's why we thought it's going to work. We just thought it's going to work. We backed our own system in, our marketing
Because I even
system.
know, like, I know the cost of the bowl was just retarded. So even that, like, I can imagine your break even was fairly high and would have been scary. I know that you don't have some of the costs that the big festivals have, like multiple internationals and whatnot.
Yeah.
But regardless, like, your ass has got to be tightening.
Yeah, it was
when
scary.
you're looking at the back end of the bowl.
Yeah, and I guess that's why we decided to. Well, not why we decided. We went to and spoke to Hardware.
Yep. For those that don't know, Hardware is run by a guy called Richie McNeil, who's probably the most successful promoter of all time on paper. His accolades kind of back through to Stereosonic, which is his major one. But he's been working in the rave and kind of techno industry for the last 30 or 40 years. But yeah, he had Stereosonic and they sold it to SFX, which is a massive American brand, for some stupid amount of money. And then he kind of, I think it must have had a non-compete, disappeared for a bit, and then he's now back on the scene. So you went and saw Richie?
Yeah, went and saw Richie and the boys. Spoke to Kyle, Damo, and met all the guys down there at Hardware. Going back to what I was saying before about working in the corporate world, I became very good at building PowerPoints and pitch decks.
Yeah.
And so I put together a deck that I thought could have sold it to anyone.
Yeah.
And we went in, we spoke to the guys, ran them through it all, and they were keen. So it wasn't as easy as that. They were keen straight away.
Yeah.
But then there was many hurdles to go through. Of course, there was the concern of, guys, you've done a 1,500 person event.
Yeah, for sure.
And
that's like you can kind of kept continuing to do that from backyard to tech concept, like marrying to then the bowl. It's like there's a lot of like crazy ideas that have really worked. So I feel like
that's right.
It gets to a point where people have to stop guessing.
Yeah.
And then kind of believing.
Yeah, that's right. And we just backed ourselves in. We knew that you got to have a crack, and we did. Went back and forward with acts and whatnot. Book a Shade in White Rooms came number one almost every year in Reminisce previously to that.
Yeah.
So we went out and got Book a Shade. They were going to headline, and we just went all in. We loaded up on the artwork. We got some really cool sort of conceptual artwork done.
Not from Matthew Butters.
We probably loaded up a bit on the artwork just because we wanted to really make a statement. And we ended up with this cool, kind of like a bag of Cadbury favourites, but it was a bag of tunes.
Yeah. The
whole like open them up and share them with your mates type thing, because the obviously the concept was all about the music. And we just went for it, and we set up. We always backed in our marketing system, so like the experience in the the sort of tech component that we had.
And you got better and better at it.
And we set ourselves up a little pre-sale sort of viral marketing system, I guess, that had sharing and all that sort of stuff built in it.
Do you want to tell us the deep end part of it? No, I'm joking. You don't have to say that. You can tell me afterwards. I can use it for my events.
Yeah, it sounds good. And it just took off. Anyway, long story short, we sold, I think, 2,000 tickets in the first day.
Yeah.
Once that happened, we knew that we were onto a winner.
Yeah.
We just went from strength to strength throughout the campaign, and the rest is history.
Yeah, it definitely is. Legitimately history. Back out to the bowl.
That's it.
You talked about before the Fatboy Slim being the easiest gig you've had. Funnily enough, I did Book a Shade myself, don't even know when, 5-6 years ago, and that was the easiest gig I ever did. So it was like Mike Toner from Thick as Thieves was like, do you guys want to do this? And we were sort of at that time, we were the promoters, he was the agent that would bring the acts in. So we got Book a Shade, and it sold out in like a matter of minutes. And I was like, this is the easiest gig of all time. Thank you, Mike, for giving me some free money. But
mate, some of them, you got to have them like that sometimes, because other
rare.
times
like
you just
I've had,
bust your balls for a couple of months and
that's
come
probably
out the other end.
It's probably the only one I've ever had. I've had events like I do my Debbie Does events. They sell out ridiculously quick for no unknown reason. And I'm not even going to get into how that happens because I don't even know myself. But when I put my balls on the line for like a bigger act, it's I've never had that happen before. So it's only one time. But guys like Book a Shade, Fatboy Slim, Guess Dead Mouse, anything like that, or they've been around for a long time for a reason. So it's always going to happen. I wish that happened more.
Yeah.
And I wish you could get them cheaper, but that's just not the way it is.
Yeah.
And though one of the biggest parts of what you guys did was implement tech, and I know we kind of touched base on it before earlier, but what do you think the importance of tech is now in the event space compared to say 9-10 years ago when you were working there beforehand?
Yeah.
And when I say tech, I also
massively.
mean Facebook, social media, the whole lot. Like obviously that didn't exist previously, even when One Love was around. But yeah, like how do you sort of see that space and that evolution into the way it is?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think, when you're promoting, at the end of the day, all you're doing is just putting yourself in front of people's eyeballs.
Yeah.
So back in the day when there wasn't Facebook and etc., it was bill posters
Yeah.
and flyers and all that
Car
that sort of
bombs.
stuff, word of mouth, car bombs,
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff.
Car bombs that's so old school. So car bombs is, I don't reckon many people know what it is, but it was when you literally took flyers to other people's clubs and bombed their car parks with flyers.
Yeah, put
And
it
just
under
hoped that you didn't get
windscreens.
bashed. Yeah.
I remember having just boxes and boxes of flyers for like Two Tribes, one of Richie's events,
Yeah.
Future, all the festivals, and just running around, just putting flyers under people's windscreens when I was 18.
Yeah.
Just
I remember getting chased
I would
by promoters
do it for
away from
like
it.
3 months
Yeah.
for a free ticket.
Jesus. That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So how do you feel like the importance of tech is in the industry right now? Like it's obviously massive.
Yeah, it's huge. So that's where the eyeballs are. So
Yeah.
that was kind of my point, is you got to go where people's eyeballs are. Obviously, it's on social, it's on Instagram, etc. And so I kind of feel that in the space, in this industry, it kind of, there's a lag. They're always a couple of years behind, the rest of the rest of the world, or the rest of the sort of more progressive industries. And now you've got, when Eventbrite started up, obviously they were huge.
Yeah.
Anyone can just create an event in 2 minutes around the whole world.
Yeah.
Money's in your bank.
Yeah.
It was easy. It was like,
Prepayouts and
whoa,
that
this
sort
is
of stuff.
so different. Like,
Took a risk out of a lot of events too.
yeah, and now you've got your sort of newer sort of tools that are coming in that really promote sharing, like, Audience Republic and all that sort of stuff, that kind of gamifies the whole
And
thing.
they've had massive impact on guys like the Untitled guys and all the Bush Doof stuff. It's amazing the impact that software's had.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to, the Reminisce example, back in 2012, when our first voting system, actually, no, it wasn't our first one. So after we had the WordPress plugin for the first year, we built a voting system that was built into Facebook. When we had that one, rolled that out, sharing became part of the functionality.
Yeah.
So after you submit your votes...
You actually turned your punters into promoters.
Yeah. So after you submit your votes, you land on a page and it's share to win, a VIP experience on the day. It's one click, share your votes, and then the votes actually get populated into the image. So then that goes into the news feed, and then everyone else can see the votes that you voted for, and then that promotes banter, because then they say, I can't believe you voted that number one.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. So it's all about attention, conversation.
And it goes back to that
engagement.
marketing 101 that we talked about. It's like if you can have your punters talking about your product, then you're always sort of going to win. You can kind of back yourself into it moving forward. I think any promoter would love people to have banter conversation on their flyers, their events or anything like that. And that's what you guys did so well. And I think that's why you were able to take it from a 40-person event in a backyard in Frankston to the bowl, because you turned your punters into your team. So that way it wasn't just like normally where we're just trying to turn people into punters. Your punters were involved in the whole experience, and they sort of became a community. And that's why I think you've been able to grow it so rapidly and so large scale in the industry that we're in now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess taking it back to the tech point is you need the tech to be able to facilitate that.
Yeah.
So it's not so much about the actual tech and the technology and how it works. It's got to almost be like it's not there. Like it's just the user flow has to be so seamless for the users to actually go through. Okay, I'm on this page. All I have to do is click 3 things, and I've followed you on Insta. Followed you on Spotify, shared on Facebook.
Yeah.
And the tech facilitates that. So that's...
They don't even realize they're using it.
No.
Yeah.
That's right. And so that's why the sort of tech side of it is so important. And it's just got to be about the user in itself and what the actions they're going to take and what they're going to do and how they're going to engage. You need to set it up in a way that is really user friendly, and that's what those what we've done, but also those Audience Republic and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it that'll be obsolete very soon.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
there'll be something else out that's even better.
Yeah, hopefully I'll
just,
find out about it
It's just
first.
the way it goes. Yeah.
What's the future hold for Corey Topp? What does the future hold for Reminisce?
Yeah,
What's the plan
we've
for
got big
220?
plans. We've got big plans. We're definitely going to be scaling. We're building a new voting system right at the moment as we speak. So we're moving it out of Facebook. It's interesting, over the last couple of years, we've been getting quite a lot of inquiries of people saying, I'd love to vote, but I don't use Facebook anymore.
Yeah.
Ever since that Cambridge Analytica stuff happened with Facebook.
Yeah.
And probably even a little bit before that, people are just sort of starting to go off it.
Yeah,
There's actually
sure.
quite a lot of people now that just don't have Facebook. I can think of 5 friends off the top of my head who don't use Facebook anymore. So we kind of, again, like what we do with Reminisce, we listen to the people. And so we're moving the voting system out of Facebook.
Yep.
And having, a lot of new functionality. Again, just building it, make it more user-friendly.
Yeah.
And building that, focusing on that, and then making it scalable. So yeah, we are planning on sort of moving interstate and overseas. I can't sort of go into too much detail, but we've definitely got big plans.
Cool.
We can really take it anywhere.
Yeah, and back to Bali next year.
Yeah, back to Bali next year.
Yeah,
that's it's too cold in Melbourne, so Bali winters are the place to be.
Yeah. That's a dream, from plumbing to living in Bali over winter.
Yeah, that's it, mate.
All right, Corey. Well, thanks heaps for sitting down with us today and going over everything. Thanks for sharing your story to everybody, and thanks for being on my podcast.
Awesome, buddy. Much appreciated. It's been fun.
No stress, dude. Thanks for that.
Cheers, mate.